Hello, students, and welcome to our final week, week 12. Week 12, we're going to be focused on positive sexuality. So, all semester long, we've learned a lot about what is included in sexuality and how do people feel about sexuality and all of the negatives about sexuality, all of the things that can go wrong. This week, we're focusing on what can go right, what can go well. So kind of a nice way to end out the semester. As far as assignments this week, of course, we have our final quiz. And so this quiz is going to include a few questions from the last couple weeks. Excuse me. It's going to mostly focus on week 10 and 12 because week 11 is the paraphilia project stuff that we did. And so you're going to be taking those screenshots that you took while engaging in each other's projects and posting them up. So most of the actual questions, the true, false, multiple choice type questions are all going to come from week 10, which is cultural and contextual influences on sexuality, which, there wasn't a ton of reading for that week, just one chapter. And then also from this week, which we do have a couple chapters to read, but relatively short. So not too bad. That quiz should not be too bad for you all. And then we have our post-course reflection. So that final assignment of the semester where you talk about where you've kind of grown and what you've learned, and did you meet your goals for this semester, and how are you feeling, and what do you think you need to do at this point? All of that wonderful stuff. So kind of wrapping up some loose ends. And so for this week, we have, again, a couple of chapters to read. If you are one of my FIU students, it's from your textbook. If you're one of my UF students, I scanned in the chapter from the Murray, Hope, and Willis book for you all to read. So it is chapter 10 from this book that we're going to be looking at, positive sexuality. And so this chapter, I think, a nice job of kind of wrapping things up for us. It talks about how we're going to move forward and sort of what direction should we be moving forward. Exercise 10.1, towards the beginning of the chapter, asks you to define what positive sexuality means to you. And so while we can kind of come up with a general definition of it, what specific factors do you feel like need to be involved or should be involved? And I think that that's really important, again, to gain some self-awareness and recognize maybe where we might differ from clients and how to address that difference. It talks about different factors that can be involved, like physiological factors, developmental issues that could play a big role, individual mental health. We've talked about that this semester, which can include everything from maturity, problem solving and decision making, receptiveness to pleasure, relational skills and capacity, self-awareness, sexual self-esteem, stress management and relaxation. Then it gets into gender identity and sexual orientation. Again, another topic that we talked about this semester, intimate relationships. Gets into freedom from coercion, fun and playfulness, intimacy, respect, and responsiveness. Physical dynamics, sexual self-disclosure, taking time. Then it gets into cultural and contextual influences that we just talked about in week 10. Talks about access to quality sexual education, which I think we've talked about a decent amount this semester, about the fact that there's a lot of people who are getting abstinence-only education, no education at all, or inaccurate information, and so how important that is. Also, equal access to sexual health care resources and information. So, is it available for individuals to find if they need it and want it? Positive representations of sexuality in the media. Do we have that? Again, that was something that we kind of looked at a little bit in chapter 10. Promotion of chapter 10, week 10. Promotion of positive economic decisions related to sexuality, promotion of pleasurable aspects of sexuality, public policies that promote positive sexuality, and then the benefits of positive sexuality. So mental health benefits, relational, physical health benefits, counseling strategies to help clients foster positive sexuality. My favorite part of this chapter kind of gives you some ideas about how you can work with your clients in fostering that sort of positive sense related to sexuality. The chapter ends with exercise 10.2, which is making positive sexuality a focus in your practice. And so what would you like to do? How would you like to do it? Things like that, just kind of getting you prepared. Has a short summary, some keystones from the chapter for you to review at the very end. So that is it for that textbook. And then we have um, chapter 21 from the Beulah book. For you FIU students, I also assigned chapter 9 and 20. Chapter 9 covers parents' questions about sex, which I think is just a really great topic to look into. Honestly, if you're not going to be working with children, you can skim it. I don't plan to have any questions on the quiz in regards to chapter 9. And then chapter 20 goes over ethical management of sex therapy casework. So again, a little bit more specific to sex therapy. I do not plan on having any questions on the quiz from chapter 20 either. So if sex therapy is not something that you're going to specialize or get more education in, again, you can kind of skim that chapter a little bit. But for all of you students, you're going to be reading chapter 21. So again, either directly from your textbook or my UF students, this is going to be scanned and linked below for you to read. So this topic is sex therapy now in the future. And so even if you're not specializing in sex therapy, this chapter just kind of gives some ideas of where we're headed, which is an important thing to know, right? So that you can more ethically practice with your clients and know what you're referring them to if you end up referring them to specifically a sex therapist. So it talks about some problems in the field, the practice of sex therapy, what that sort of looks like, marketing yourself as a sex therapist, what the continuing education looks like, and in closing. Finally, it ends with some takeaway points, some resources, a selection of sexological journals that you can look at if you want some more information and education. Take a look at what kind of work is being done in the field, and some references. So there may be some questions from that chapter on the quiz. Again, not really likely, so I would focus most of your time on chapter 10 from the Murray book this week, and kind of hold the Beulah as sort of additional knowledge that you can kind of walk away with. So that is it for this week. Hopefully that makes it a nice, relatively easy week for you as we finish up the semester. It has been a joy and a pleasure to work with all of you, and I look forward to connecting possibly again in the future. If you're staying in Florida, we might cross paths through different professional organizations and things like that. I am a CEU provider in Florida, so we may cross paths that way as well. But of course, once my student, always my student. So if you ever have any questions or concerns or anything, and you want to get in touch with me in the future to ask about something or anything at all, feel free to do so. I'm definitely open to that option. And so again, thank you for a great semester, and I wish you the best as you move forward. Thank you.